knows has to run. Well, good morning and welcome to CityLine. It is great to be in your home. We are live every Thursday morning, and we were just talking about this morning is 7-Eleven, which means I may have to run to a 7-Eleven and see if they have any Slurpees that I can slurp down. We have a great hour ahead of us. Later on in the hour, we'll be talking with the Old Town Concert Series. Speaking of Slurpees, perfect time for that. And then Abby Murray is here. She was on the show about a month ago, and she is Tacoma's Poet Laureate. And I love poetry, so Abby's going to be here talking about some of the works that she is espousing and also some of the groups that she's working with. And then the Landlord Liaison Program is here. As you know, Tacoma is in a homelessness state of emergency, and this is the time for all of us that perhaps have a spare room to draw near and take some notes and see how you can be a part of the solution on that. And then also I have with me on that comfy couch two individuals that you saw on the wide shot that are here to talk about the Tacoma Cemetery tour. And before I talk with them, I have a very special gift for you today, and that gift comes in the form of music. The beloved Kim Archer and Angie Lynn are here. Good morning.
Good morning.
You two are going to play us in between commercial breaks, and then Kim, you're going to join me on the comfy couch for the last segment of the Old Town Concert Series. And you also have a new CD coming out, don't you?
I do, and a little later, Angie and I are going to share a song off of that.
I love that. So always something good happening at CityLine. Thank you both for being here. All right, join me in welcoming two amazing individuals that are sitting here on the couch looking very dapper. Dana Repp, you are a living history reenactor, and you look fabulous. Welcome.
Thank you.
The hat. Bend your head down just a little bit. Let's see if we can get the top of that. Yep, we got it. Good shot there in the booth. That hat is just a work of art.
It is.
It really is.
It truly is.
Speaking of works of art, and especially someone who I used to love to read his writing, Mr. Walter Neary.
Thank you.
Welcome to CityLine.
Thanks for having us. We appreciate that.
You are also a living history reenactor. I think you actually live history, don't you?
I think we learn a lot from that, and it's a lot of fun.
We do. Well, let's talk about this for somebody, Dana, who does not know that Tacoma has a cemetery tour. Let's find out, what's the tour like? How long does it take? And what will people experience when they attend?
So when they arrive, it's about an hour-long walking tour, uneven ground, so you have to become prepared. Your shoes would not be appropriate.
Nope, they would not.
But they start off with a quick snapshot of what they're going to see. We talk about some of the, with one of our interpreters is there to talk about the local history, what's going on in the time, because we all portray a certain time period together. They're all characters picked from the same era. And then they will go from gravesite to gravesite where they will meet someone who will tell that person's story.
I love this. I was telling both of you in the green room, I have measurements about cities when I travel, and there's two things I do. I go to the museums, and then I always go to a local cemetery, and I think it tells a lot about how a city values culture and history, which I think are strong threads of any community. Walter, what is the theme this year?
So our theme this year is Building a Destiny, playing off the name City of Destiny. So everyone we will be portraying is a builder. So Dana's character, Fanny Paddock, was essentially responsible for Tacoma General.
Yes.
My character this year is Frederick Heath, who was responsible for a lot of stuff, including Stadium Bowl and Stadium High School. Everyone will be portraying someone who left us a very physical legacy as well as an emotional and spiritual one.
God, I love that. And as I'm thinking, I'm hoping that the young people are on this tour as well, because there's some pearls of history that we need to impart to them. Dana, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. How much are tickets? Where do we get them? And the big one, can people videotape the tour or take pictures?
Tickets are $15 a person. You can get them from the Tacoma Historical Society.
Yes.
Washington, I'm in the wrong state. Anyways, Tacoma Historical Society, and you've got their phone number and website listed down below. You're not allowed to videotape or take photography during the performances. At the end of the performance, you may take pictures of the reenactor, but you may not take them during the performance. Kind of throws us off. We're not prepared to be on camera, so we're...
Thank you.
Yeah.
I love the integrity of that. It's just like when someone like Kim Archer performs and someone puts a flash in their face. It's like, oh, please don't do that.
Right.
So let's talk about, for both of you, you both are historical reenactors at this event. How do you go about preparing for this tour? And Walter, I'm going to start with you on that one.
Well, I think everyone begins at the Northwest Rim of
Yes.
and whether or not go to this tour, go to the Northwest Rim
Yes.
at least once. It's an amazing place, and that helps you build a foundation of information about your character. In my case, I was very lucky because Frederick Heath has a living great-grandson, and so I was actually able to talk to him about
Wow.
what he remembered. He never saw, and Heath lived until he was, I think, 91. Never saw Grandpa without a three-piece suit, which is why I'm wearing a three-piece suit.
Thank you.
And you learn a lot of details just from talking, sometimes to relatives, if you're blessed to have some.
I love that. And what about you, Miss Dana? How do you prepare to be Fanny Paddock?
Lots of research.
Yes.
Northwest Rim is a good place to start. And for women, there's not usually a lot written about us. So a lot of our stories are hidden behind our men. So finding out who you're married to, who your father was, and those kind of tidbits give you some insight into as to where they lived and how they lived. Fanny, fortunately, has some written about her because she left an incredible legacy.
Tell us about that connection that you have.
Fanny was my very first character on the cemetery tour in 2013. So she's always been really precious to me. And when I did it, the first time my husband also played Bishop Paddock. So it was kind of fun to have that little extra support there.
Oh, yeah.
So it was fun.
And that familiar chemistry of we're already a couple in today's society,
Right.
so it's easy for us to go back in time.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. Tell me about your connection with Fanny Paddock, Walter.
So Fanny Paddock, of course, was one of the founders of Tacoma General, which led to Multicare.
Yes.
I started working for Multicare in January.
Okay.
So when you start at Multicare, you have an orientation. They show a video. And I hadn't connected this. They show a video, and there's John and Fanny Paddock. And I'm sitting at a table with a bunch of nurses, all being oriented. And I said, oh, I know Fanny Paddock. So that was awkward, but I explained it quickly. And Multicare is very proud of the legacy that she represented. Fanny gave a lot, and it's inspiring.
I love that. Boy, those nurses must have thought, this man needs some medicine.
I'm lucky they weren't behavioral health nurses. That could have been an issue. But, but I do feel like I know Fanny Paddock, thanks to
Well, you absolutely do. So, Dana, where do you get your period clothing, and who writes the scripts?
Beg, borrow, steal, and sew.
Boy, you've got that, and just as it was back then as well. I mean, back then there wasn't obviously anything online, and the clothing was made and handed down.
Lots of
You've
sewing.
done a beautiful job of reenacting this.
And this is not Fanny's outfit. This is Mildred Fuller Wallace's outfit today. I didn't want to come as Fanny because I'm portraying her again this year, so I wanted her to have a little mystery left.
I love that. So, Walter, tell us who we're going to meet on this year's tour.
You'll meet a bunch of people who built things that some names you'll recognize.
Yeah.
For example, the name Harmon.
Yes.
I think a lot of us associate Harmon with beer and garlic Parmesan fries.
Thank you.
In fact, the original Harmon had nothing to do with beer or garlic Parmesan fries. We'll be meeting folks, very typical to have Morton McCarver, one of the founders on the tour. This year we have his wife. She built things. So you'll meet a lot of names you'll recognize and a lot of names you won't, because we want to always try to surprise people.
I love that. Both of you have participated in this tour previously, and this is kind of like asking the parent who's your favorite child. So you can't say all of them because that's not fair. But Walter, who is your favorite that you've portrayed? And then Dana, the same question.
My favorite person, I think, was Herbert Hunt, partly because he had been a newspaper editor, as I had been in real life. He also wrote a series of books that were the foundation for Tacoma's history. Murray Morgan used them. I didn't realize until I did my research that he was dying during a big part of the time he was writing. And of course, we're all going in the same direction, but he knew he was dying, and he was working on these books to try to provide an income stream for his family. That courage, it gives me goosebumps. I just admire the man.
Well, I mean, because as you're dying and all the affliction and pain and the brain fog, to still have the intensity and faculty to write, that is superhuman in my books.
He was having operations. I don't know exactly what he had, but he was having operations on his face. I think parts of his jaw were disappearing over time. You think about what these folks went through, it's inspiring, but he's my favorite.
What about you, Miss Dana?
Okay, I'll pick the odd one. It'd be Etta Brady Cummings. She was a nurse that she was a private duty nurse, first one to go into private duty nursing straight from nursing school. And the reason I love her so much is I hated her when I first found her out. When I first had her, didn't have a lot of information, but what I did see I didn't like. And then Deb at the Historical Society helped me find her nursing application, and all of a sudden it was like you get her voice, and she was hilarious. I mean, she was in this time of suffragettes where they wanted women, they were calling women up by their age, when they came to
Yes.
vote. And so she was very offended by it. So on her application, it says, your age, she writes, I am of age.
Oh,
And
thank
so
you.
she was just a real pip, and I think she was very passionate about what she did. And so she ended up becoming one of my favorites because she was so very different.
I love that. I'm going to borrow that phrase, I am of age. Thank
It
you.
fits.
So this is the last question for both of you. What do you hope that people take away from this tour? And Dana, why don't you go first?
I hope they take away a real sense of the community that they're in and where they are and what people sacrifice to provide for what we have today. We forget that this city was not built on pavement that we see today. It was built on people with incredible foresight and insight and very pioneering spirits, and I love that about it. And so it's fun to bring that to life for people.
Oh, so well said. And what about you, Walter? What is it, that one thing you want people to go yes about?
I want them to realize that any of those graves could come to life and those people would have an important story. People look at you differently, and when you're in a cemetery, they're looking at you like with an intensity like, make some sense of this for me because I'm surrounded by death. And I hope we do that. I hope we tell stories that inspire, entertain, and remind people that what you do today lives on.
Thank you. Thank you both for caring so much about our great history to bring it to life here on the comfy couch. And I wish you attention-filled audiences and sunny weather as you go about this tour.
We always hope for
And I
that.
want you back on the couch next year, okay? Deal?
Deal.
All right.